just like a great marriage where, in this case, we kind of know at the end of the day, he's like, that's up to you. But there are so many times that I turn to him and say, I can't figure this out. We run this business.
The other thing is, and it took a couple years to do this, was the timeout. It's now 9 o'clock at night, and it's time to watch television. Mm-hmm. We're not going to talk about this anymore. And either one can pull that, and that's been very, very good.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point. Being able to check out.
It's time to turn on Law and Order.
Nashville is alive with music, sure, but creativity also thrives in our art, marketing, technology, food, and in every corner of our community. On Creative Assembly's The Spark podcast, our mission is to amplify Nashville's diverse creative voices, foster growth through shared journeys, and inspire a city that thrives on collaboration. Each episode will take a deep dive into the lives and passions of Nashville's most innovative minds. We'll explore their creative processes, the challenges they face, and power of collaboration, along with so much more. Welcome to the Spark Podcast, brought to you by Snapshot, a digital agency on a mission to serve with heart, execute with excellence, and build something bigger together. And now, here's The Spark.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Spark, where Nashville's leaders share their wins, lessons, and ideas shaping what's next. Today, we're joined by Liza and Jay Graves of Blueprint Inc., the Nashville company behind StyleBlueprint. Liza, Jay, welcome to the show. Man, it's so great to have you both on today. This is going to be a special episode because this is our first Spark podcast that has 2 participants, and I'm really excited about this one. So thanks for being here.
We'll see what we can do to break the process.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, well, this is awesome. So, maybe just to kick off this episode, maybe just take us through the journey of what got you into the publication business, the content marketing, launching StyleBlueprint.
Yeah, so it's been a while. It was 2009, and the economy was terrible. Those of us that, lived through that. And, at the time, social media wasn't what it is today. There were no, hashtag support local. And there wasn't even, a business Facebook page. Everything was personal. I don't think Instagram had launched yet. Wasn't that 2010, I think? So maybe Pinterest existed. I mean, I'm not quite sure.
It was almost the Facebook.
Right. It was the Facebook. There was email.
Craigslist.
Yeah. So it was, I had a business partner at the time. I bought her out in 2019, but for the first 10 years, I was with her. But really, we were looking around Nashville and we were seeing, cherished businesses, restaurants that were, boutiques that were all closing. And we wanted to open the doors in Nashville to people to say, support these businesses. We want to keep Nashville, Nashville. We don't want it to just become a big chain city. And that was really the whole emphasis of why we got started. We would look at, our other publications that were in town, and they would have a local section. And the local section, in all seriousness, was buy the Yankee Candle at the mall. This is what we saw at Target. And that was not what we thought of as local. And we wanted to really support the local businesses. And I remember running into, I had this conversation more than once, but, maybe a handful of times during the same time period where I had some friends or people that I was acquainted with say, well, I have to go to Chicago to shop. Oh, well, I need to hire my interior designer from Atlanta. I was like, really? Do you? Have you looked around Nashville lately? Nashville 2007 was a happening place. We think that it was, post-flood that it became this great place. There were really great things going on then. And I really wanted them to take that vacation mindset of spending money and spend it here in Nashville. And that's how we started StyleBlueprint. We had no business plan. We just knew that we wanted to support local. And that's what we've been doing ever since.
Such a valiant cause, almost like, the Robin Hood of you're giving back to the small businesses here in Nashville. It's interesting. What did it look like at the very beginning?
StyleBlueprint?
Yeah, I know it has evolved quite a bit.
We found the webpage that it looked like. It was
The
almost
original?
yes, it was almost a Comic Sans font. It was really, really bad.
Yeah, it said Style Blueprint in orange across the top of it, and it was blueprint, like blueprint, like, papers on the side. And the inside of what you read moved, but the outside didn't move, And it looked like an email that I would send to you. Like that's what
Okay.
the font kind of looked like. And we would put photos in, and they were, like this big, tiny, like 2 inches by 1 inch. I mean, they were like these tiny little thumbnails that we were putting in. And, but it worked. People, the content we were putting out resonated. And I remember 6 months in, this article that we wrote on Pure Barre, which is a exercise studio that had just opened up. And we had over 1,000 people read that article. And it was like, oh my gosh, we had 1,000 people read Style Blueprint today. And I went across the street to where our kind of like neighborhood pool was, lived in, off of West End, and there's this pool Whitworth there. And my business partner, I knew she was at the pool with her kids. And I walked over there, and I was like wearing kind of like businessy clothes, like a pencil skirt. And, I walked up there, I'm like, we have 100 email subscribers. And like we danced at the pool for 100 email subscribers. Today we have 210,000 email subscribers. And I mean, that was just like a huge win to have 100, like huge.
When you launched it, you had 100 emails.
No, that was 6 months in. When we launched it, we had 0.
So 6 months in. Wow. And now,
Yeah, there was no like landing page, enter your email, we're going to launch in, 3 months. No, there was nothing. We just started publishing. And because Facebook did exist and we had personal pages, I just put every article on my Facebook page. Like that's how we started. I put every article on my Facebook page. She would put articles on her Facebook page. We both went to the same church, Christ Church Cathedral, 9th and Broad. And it just has it had a tight group of women and a women's listserv. And the women knew what we were doing, and they would read it, and they would put it out on the listserv. Hey, have you all read Elizabeth and Liza's blog today? It's really great. It's on the whatever Mexican restaurant, or it's on this, that. And that's how it started.
Wow. And so as you were growing it, Jay, I know, you watched Liza for quite a few years, and you spent a lot of time with, helping scale like data and tech companies. What convinced you to finally take the leap and jump over to Style Blueprint? And then
what convinced you to leave NBC Sports, helping them to come over to the 100 subscriber?
And take on operations too, which is usually a thankless role.
Right.
Well, it was, we had just sold our business, and we did data management for professional sports teams. And I want to be very clear, it was not the cool data management like they make movies out of, like Moneyball. It was the boring ticketing data management that they used to move Ticketmaster records around.
And that was like 2018-ish?
Yes, that was 2018.
2018.
And had been doing that for a while, and then we got bought by a private equity company. And about 3 years into it, Mrs. Graves, my future boss, pulled me aside and went, "You are miserable. You're kind of miserable to be around, and you're still living on an airplane like you've always been doing. Why don't you come work with us?" And I'm like, deal. And never looked back. So for 5 years, we've been working together and applying a lot of the data tools and things that I use with really, really big companies. It's fun making them work for smaller organizations now. And it's awesome to use some of this stuff to help our clients to where they didn't have access to it before. And it's everything from, hey, we can use AI for workflows and great stuff like that, to I also make collection calls. So I mean, it's back to small business roots, which I truly love. And we joke, like, we decided to work together, and it was a big decision. But Liza really helped build this brand, and my job's to support the operations of that. COO, CFO, CTO, CIO, and I think that's it.
That's it. But I will say that throughout the 11 years that Style Blueprint existed before Jay came on full time, he was always helping us out, because you think, oh, well, what do all of these professional sports teams have, that's similar to Style Blueprint? Well, you've got to put butts in seats for all of them, right? So that is marketing to your local community. So that had an extreme overlap. So when we would test something with Style Blueprint, he was like, wait, let me see what you're doing there. And he would optimize that, but then he would take it and make it that much bigger for NASCAR, for a professional team. So there was actually quite a bit of overlap in those 11 years that we were working side by side. So him transitioning into Style Blueprint, it wasn't like he didn't know what we were doing. He had been working in the back the entire time.
And for listeners that don't know the brand, Style Blueprint started in 2000. Started writing in 2009.
Right.
Incorporated in 2010. It was a blog when it started. There was no other word for it. I think now the best term that we've come up with is digital magazine. We've got over 3 million readers per year, over 210,000 active email addresses. How many social
Just
followers?
about 300,000 social followers.
Yeah, and it's significant readership all around the Southeast and really nationwide. Second largest readership is Chicago.
So Nashville,
crazy.
Chicago, Atlanta would be our largest. And we do local editions in Birmingham, Nashville, Memphis, some in Louisville, but then our largest is our regional edition, which we have people from all over the country read. But again, it's an emphasis on the South, so people who are interested, which is why we have so much Chicago, because look at how much of Chicago has moved down here. Well, they're also reading Style Blueprint, for sure.
And email was center focus day one. So we publish 7 days a week.
We believe in first-party data so much. So we have about 1.5 million pieces of first-party data. So when a lot of probably your listeners know marketing and know custom audiences, lookalike audiences, we're able to do that in spades because we own all of this data, and we have been all about that since day one. So when someone works with us, they're working that's part of the reason that they're working with us. Besides sponsored articles, sponsored emails, all the other things, we have some data plays as well.
Yeah, that is amazing. The power that you have and all the all the subscribers and all the readers and the social media. It's like, man, you could make a big influence on a small business by putting their ad, I guess, in the newsletter and sending it out. Like, what has been I want to come back to the husband and wife, but before that,
that'll be good.
What has been one of the bigger success stories maybe that you've seen that has really moved the needle for a small business? I'm sure there's many, but is there one that kind of stands out to you?
I'm trying to think of just one that stands out, but we've had so many success stories over the years. I'll say on a small dollar.
Yeah.
So this is something that we do with our travel clients that then we merged into our local clients and how that's worked. So with our travel clients, we have a lot of, we love working with destinations because what is a destination's marketing supposed to do? It's supposed to support that community and those businesses there, right? So that's what our heart is all about too. They happen to have larger dollars though than a mom and pop place. So we like working with them. They like working with us. Everything works there. But what we've done is we will take multiple destinations and they buy into one article. Well, one whole campaign, because it'll have social, it'll have components. But just think about the article part of it. So let's say it's 5 destinations for a guy's getaway with a distillery, breweries, and golf. Well, that's pretty specific, right? But there's a lot of destinations that fit that. So if they're like, oh, yeah, I want to be part of that, we get to help tell their story. So we put together these topics that they buy into. And then we have 2 to 3 photos and, our copy about that destination. And they typically rank well. Like if you were to look up best girls' weekends in the South, I think our article's number 1, for that. So anyway, we looked at this and saw the value that we could drive to these destinations. And we said, why can't we do that on a local level, still curate what we're putting in there? So we started these things called top lists. Not topless, but top lists. So it's like a guide, but different businesses, so hair salons. And we're picky about who we invite to be part of it. But we'll go to the hair salon and say, hey, for, X amount of money, typically under $5,000 for the whole year, you're on this list. We will have a photo of your salon and we will promote what makes you stand out. So they have to think about their story. We're all about the story. Why is your salon the one that our readers should go to? So we put that in. And then it's number one for SEO. If you're looking up top hair salons Nashville, best hair salons Nashville, because we have a really big domain strength. We're a publication. So for less than $5,000 for the whole year, they typically get over 1,000 leads.
That's incredible.
That go, so they've read about, not only have they searched it and come there, or they saw it on Style Blueprint, but the only reason someone's going to click on that article is because they're interested in it, right? So you have an interested group that's there. They read about this one salon versus the other ones that are on there. Then they are clicking. That is a very, very warm lead that we are sending your way for less than $5,000 a year. So you're having third-party attribution. And on top of that, they get to have access to our events calendar. We're grateful for people who keep our lights on, because in the media world, it is very hard because we are constantly being pitched by all the PR companies who want everything for free and they're getting paid, right? And then they get mad at us and we're like, we have to stay in business also. So this is a great way because our heart is with those mom and pop stores. So we have top furniture stores, home decor, but again, it is a curated list. You're invited to be part of it, but for a small marketing dollars, we make a big dent for them. So that would be something that it took us about 12 years to come up with this idea from when we started. But that has really been great because we see the needle move at small dollars for these mom and pop shops.
Gosh, I mean, that's a big story for, I would think most marketing firms would love to present this to their clients.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk before we go there. Let me ask you, as partners in business and life, how do you all keep your kind of roles, your job descriptions, your role responsibility within Style Blueprint? How do you keep them aligned and continue to be able to make decisions quickly there?
Well, I will say just to start with, Jay and I both come from a family of husband and wife teams. Both our parents work together and are entrepreneurs. So this has been modeled to us our whole life, for better or for worse. We did go into this eyes wide open.
Yes.
Right?
And
I'm right?
yes,
right?
yes, ma'am. Listen, I have been involved in several businesses that were partnerships. One was a 50-50 partnership, and I think I may have had the only 50-50 partnership in the history of the world that went great. I've never heard of another one that actually worked well. Second business, there were actually 7 equity partners, and it was a disaster. It was so hard. In this role, Liza's the CEO, and she gets to make the decision. She's the creative force behind this. She willed this thing into existence. My job is to play a supporting role for that. That was eyes wide open going in, as she said. This was how this was supposed to work. So, from a business standpoint, I think for taxes, I own 1% and she owns 99%, just so we could keep the same federal tax ID. So, and that's in practice as well. And so this works really well.
But I will say, just like a great marriage where, in this case, we kind of know at the end of the day, he's like, that's up to you. But there are so many times that I turn to him and say, I can't figure this out. We run this business, but definitely when at the end of the day, when it's like the decision has to be made, I have to make it. But I would say that there are so many things that fall under Jay's expertise. Why would I not make the decision that he is advocating for? And so that's just respect.
Well, the other thing is, and it took a couple years to do this, was the timeout. It's now 9 o'clock at night, and it's time to watch television. We're not going to talk about this anymore. And either one can pull that, and that's been very, very good.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good point. Like
called-
being able to check out.
It's called It's Time to Turn on Law and Order.
Yeah. I wanted to invite you to our next Creative Assembly gathering. It's our relaxed, bi-monthly networking event in East Nashville, where ideas spark over drinks and creative collaborations come to life. We meet at 1530 Riverside Drive with light snacks, refreshments, and plenty of free parking. Whether you're an agency owner, part of a creative team, a freelancer, student, or even a business owner curious about collaboration, you're always welcome at Creative Assembly. RSVPs aren't required, but they help us plan for space and treats. Just search Creative Assembly Nashville on Eventbrite or visit creativeassembly.agency/events for details and the RSVP link. Come ready for connections, conversations, and creative collaboration. We can't wait to see you there. You know, and it's interesting because you mentioned your parents were both entrepreneurs. My mom and dad were entrepreneurs. They own a small business in Central Missouri, and my wife actually works in the business too, and it actually works very well. And so, you know, but it is that trust that you have, and there's, you know, even though I feel like I could make a lot of the decisions, I still trust running them past because, you know, whenever I do, it tends to work a lot better as far as, you know, having more ears on the decision and more ideas around it. And so it's a great point.
Well, I think that the way that we run, I may understand our audience more because I nurtured that audience, but there's so many things that Jay really does understand far more than I do.
Well, you know, coming back to it, Liza, you've mentored a lot of people through your years. I mean, I know so many just amazing people that have came out of Blueprint over the years that have worked with you and said so many great things. Like, who along the way has been a mentor for you?
You know, I would say, like, from early days, my grandmother owned hotels. And so just hearing her talk about hotels and just little things. And I owned a restaurant. I owned a cafe. That was my first entrepreneurial thing that I did. But I remember her just saying little things like, you can make so much money at the bar, but you can lose so much money at the bar. You know, just those little just tidbits, you know. So I opened up a lunch cafe that had no bar, you know, because of what she had said. But when it comes down to an actual formality of mentorship, I have not had one, but I will say that EO in my forum became that for me. So I am so grateful for EO in my forum. I really, even to this day, wish that I could have found a mentor that had this publication background. There's not a lot of us out there, you know. So I will say, though, in town, just having nice conversations here and there. Stacy Staniford at Nashville Lifestyles, I just always really admired what she pulled off with that. And now that she is not involved with it anymore, sometimes when I'm super frustrated, I've had lunch with her a couple times, and you know, media is its own beast, and it's nice to have someone to talk to. Media really competes with each other hard, and I'm a great, like, play in the sandbox with all people kind of person. I will say most are not, you know, like most are not. There's only so much marketing dollars to go around.
Yeah. You know, so many people have been on the podcast that are involved in EO. And it's interesting because, I mean, EO's got a big chapter here in Nashville, biggest in the U.S., and I know you've got an amazing forum with some great, you know, great people. But, and coming to you, Jay, like you, not only do you have enough to do at work, you also took on the role as the president of EO this year, right?
It's a 1-year sanity check. So it's a great organization that it was funny. I saw something online recently of somebody said, "What are great business books that I could read as a new entrepreneur?" Like, books are great. Find a peer support group, whether it's EO or something else. If you're a new entrepreneur, it's really lonely to do this. I mean, we can talk to each other. Like we have secret code word conversations. So things don't fluster us as much as things. We've also been at this a while, so we've kind of seen the highs and lows. But for new people that are starting out in business, this is a whole different language, both technically and emotionally, of like, what do you got to do in order not to lose your mind in this? And something like EO, for a group of peers that are in the same boat that you are that can help support you, hey, it's been great for me personally, and I'm just happy to get back to the organization.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the pivot, just from like, Style Blueprint of the past, even though it's still Style Blueprint, to Blueprint Inc. Is there, has anything changed? What's changed? And then kind of what's stayed the same?
Well, I think it can be confusing. What's Blueprint.inc? And then you have Style Blueprint. Well, really what happened was we started offering some digital marketing services that some of our clients, came to us. It's frustrating on our end to send, let's go back to that hair salon, if we were sending them over 1,000 leads and they're not capturing them well. So sometimes we're like, we just want there to be a better mousetrap on that end. They're like, well, I don't have $15,000 for a website. I'm like, well, we'll make it for less. Let's just go ahead. Let's get it done.
All geared for small businesses that often don't fit well for an agency.
A larger agency. So that's really was our niche that we got into. Believe me, it's not been lucrative, but it was something that allowed us to help keep that client stickier, and could, we wanted to help them. So we had our online shop, which was SB Shop, that we've shut down. But we had that, we had Style Blueprint, and then we had this marketing side. So it was confusing if someone's like, okay, I'm going to buy this now. Is that on Style Blueprint? We're like, no, that's Blueprint Marketing. And, SP Shop, wait, does that mean that it's like, no, you're over here, but we're using some Style Blueprint data? It was confusing. So we needed a parent company name to house all these parts of our company. So that's where Blueprint.inc came from, was basically, okay, these are our 3 services that we offer. We have our publication, we have our online shop that supports small brands throughout the South, and then we have our digital products that are there. It also helped internally when someone, let's say, wanted I hate selling just programmatic ads, but let's say someone wanted some programmatic ads. Well, are those happening on Style Blueprint, or are those like just the classic Google programmatic ads? So having them come under a different name also helped with our invoicing and just internal logistics.
Yeah.
And it's not the same now, but it is, looking at it through Liza's eyes, for, I would say, a solid 10 years. Oh, Style Blueprint, that's that little blog. It's like, no, that's when I get my dander up. Like, no, that's like, this is a legitimate publication. It was also, and I'm sure you have listeners and viewers that are like branding experts that are like, this doesn't fit any paradigm for what you should be doing. But it's also a bit of professionalism of like, no, this is the holding company that has a publication that has other aspects to it as well, to try to get away from just, particularly locally, people that just viewed it as a blog.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been a blog for a long, long time.
Yeah, and you all, this is a great conversation, because every agency owner that's probably listening to this says, well, I started out as a PR firm, but everybody's asking me for web design, so I need to, and I don't want to piss my client off, or have them go over here and somebody, feel like, hey, I've lost control. And so just having, what clients are asking for is, I could see how you could evolve. And then I could also, I see it from the agency side of how a lot of people fail with, hey, we had a great thing going with this client over here, and we launched this other service, and it really didn't go well, and now the clients left us.
Oh, yeah. You can definitely damage the other side of the relationship as well, for sure. And, we really did want to come in and fit a need that agencies didn't want. Agencies don't want those clients that are paying $300 to $500 a month. They want larger retainers. But we saw people who needed that, and we were able to go in and help them without a large retainer. But it is hard. in that if they don't like what they're spending, even for that $300 to $500, for some of our clients, that's a lot of money for them. And I'm like, that's a drop in the ocean. We can't really move the needle for you, but you know what we can do? We can help that Google My Business page be optimized. And everyone should have that. So there's just like these core things that we really believe in. We don't offer all the other stuff that they really should be spending $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in order to move the needle. These are small things that we're like, you don't have time. You don't have that 6 to 8 hours a month that you really should be spending on that Google My Business page. We can do that. So we cherry picked and put together 3 products that were like, these are the ones that you really should have. Go get your website done by somebody else. That's great, but you need to have retargeting ads. You need to have your Google My Business page optimized.
Yeah, in all cases, those are, we would call it the Trinity. Have a website that can actually tell your customers what they need. Do retargeting ads because that's just low-hanging fruit. And by all means, optimize for Google Local. Even if you're not a local company, that's where Google and the other AI companies are getting their clean data from, is straight out of Google.
Yeah, and we put together beautiful websites, but we're not doing the $15,000, $20,000 websites that agencies want. Again, we're doing those ones that they're just like, not us, not us. Those
and
are
it's
the
not
ones that we're
StyleBlueprint.
doing.
I mean, StyleBlueprint is a digital magazine, and everything else is housed separately.
Well, and as I look at your site too, it looks so beautiful, and the newsletters look so beautiful that I'm sure every client expects that beauty in their own website, and you guys try to give it, but
we want beautiful websites that convert though. For example, interior designers. Interior designers, a lot of them have beautiful websites that you can't even find your way through, but they're making them for other interior designers, basically, right? We are very much customer focused, the interior designer, we want them to like us, they've hired us, but who's your ideal client? Can they find that contact us page? Can they figure out how to navigate your website? So if they just want a beautiful, beautiful website, we're actually not the right people for them.
Yeah. What is today? What's the current product mix that you guys have with all the different services? And I know it's digital, it's StyleBlueprint, the newsletter, and then or the publication.
Right.
Sorry, not newsletter.
There you go.
But,
Well,
we're going to get you trained up.
we do. We send out newsletters every day. So we send out, again, that 210,000 people every day that are getting an email from us every single day. And then we have sponsored emails on top of that. So we send 4 million emails a month.
Wow.
We send a lot of email.
So what's the mix today in the business?
Do you mean revenue-wise split?
Well, just, products split.
That would be, so our main core would be sponsored articles. So going back to that top list, that could be considered a sponsored article. Or it could be a 3-part series of, a really intense focus on your business. So it could be that. But sponsored articles, sponsored emails, so an email that's talking just about your business. And then we have targeted social media campaigns. So that would be under our StyleBlueprint name. But really, if you're a destination and you want to be in front of people in Mississippi, of course we're going to, you can target it there. But we get to use our first-party data to make those lookalike audiences. Our readers tend to travel 3 times more than the average person online. So, we get to start with that. So targeted social media, and then ads. We really don't like to sell ads just on their own. We want ads to be part of a campaign. We really believe that they should be part of something, not just on their own. We do sell some ads. Some people, I get it, they're busy. They're like, I just want this. We'll take it, but we'd rather not. Right? Does that? Those are the big buckets that we do.
Overall, it's about 80% publication, about 20% other services.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to segue into this. Every one of those pieces of sponsored content is written by a human. And we've had an AI policy since 2024. And I think it's just worth bringing up that original storytelling is still original storytelling. And it's something that we found that AI really can't replicate. It's just, I sing it from the mountaintop because I think there are some wonderful aspects to AI. Storytelling is not one of them.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I know we're going to talk about AI in just a minute.
Everybody talks about AI.
And how, maybe it's aiding or even disrupting a little bit some of the marketing services. And I'd love to hear more about how you guys are leaning into it. But before we get there, like your newsletter footprint and city verticals are really strong. We've talked about that. Like, what have you learned about like local and regional scale that like national brands might miss in what you all are doing? Is there anything that, we've talked about small businesses, is there something that maybe the larger national brands are missing out on?
I think that the larger national brands, when it comes to partnering with local media, tend to just rely on their PR agencies to ask for free content, but they are not looking ever for paid. And you know what? If they would partner with us, we always give back so much more than what someone is paid for. And I don't just speak for myself, I speak for all local media. If they would come in and actually pay instead of saying, here's our brand new countertops, and we could go in and do like a amazing home story and really dig into that, we could move the needle for them far more. But right now, they're only willing to do PR when you're a national brand.
So I worked for a big data agency in the early 2000s that bought our company. And I'll never forget a guy who actually ended up kind of becoming a mentor to me was very dismissive of our company getting purchased and was really kind of like, well, you don't need to be here. Like, why are you here? So I left, he left. Years later, I get a phone call. It's like, I need you. It was from this guy. He goes, I need you to help me. And he just left a voicemail. I'm like, I don't want to talk to this guy. He was a jerk to me when I was there. After about the third phone call, I called him back, and he was like, listen, I was wrong. I've gone to work for the smaller company in Austin, and I brought in all my enterprise software and all my skills that were used for national and international business. And I just assumed that I could put them in a dryer and shrink them, and that they would work at a smaller organization. You were right. Everything when you sell to smaller organizations has to be repeatable, and it's not the same thing. And please help me build a data warehouse for a smaller organization. So we jokingly refer to it as a data shed, and we built them a data shed, and it ended up being wildly successful for them. But national brands and national advertising campaigns cannot be the same just scaled down to local. They have to be treated differently with a different group of people and a different mindset to go into them for them to be successful. That doesn't mean they're not scalable and they can't be repeatable, but they're not earned media at a national level. It's not the same as earned media at a local level.
And I will say that what Jay just said is, and I'm sure our local PR groups feel the same way, when a national PR group reaches out to us versus a local PR group, that local PR group, they're able to bring us maybe actually a really good story instead of just this pitch that went out to and just keep following up, 1,000 times until we say no. Like the local, it's like, hey, I'm going to tell you why I think this is a good story and you should take it. But that national brand should hire the local PR group in order to do that, and they should empower that local PR group with some media funds as well. I mean, just that difference, because I get it. It's hard for that national group. How are they going to, they're like, but how would we do that? Well, you see it all the time. You have that national PR group they're the ones that have to go out and hire the local PR groups, and they have the money to do that. I mean, we have a 55% open rate on our emails. Why do we have that? Because we're local. And you know what? We worked hard for that, and I do expect that national company to respect that and pay us if they want us to do all this work for them.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's asking too much.
55% open rate. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Liza, you mentioned earlier, like in 2018, 2019, you bought out your business partner.
2019, yeah, right at the beginning,
2019.
January 1st, yeah.
And so maybe like what would you learn there? What, how, is there any experience share? I would say, I don't know the percentage, but 75% would be my guess that of agency partnerships typically don't make it over the years. And, for one reason or another, but like, what'd you learn during that like pivot?
When it was ready to be done, it was ready to be done. We did it pretty quickly, over 3 months, like when it was decided. And we were at different stages of life. And, she she was in a different stage. I mean, she's 17, 18 years older than I am, you know? So I think that there was part of that. I think that it's really hard to have a 50-50 partnership. If I were to go back and have a partner again, I would even do 49-51. It's just really hard. And you know, and we agreed on a lot of things. But I think it's hard on a team to not know who's at the end of the day has the ultimate decision. And I think out of respect for your team, this is my point of view. You know, there's plenty of 50-50 partnerships, I think, that have worked. I mean, Jay had one.
I don't think there are plenty.
Okay,
I think there may be like one.
Yeah, Jay had the one. But I also understand that when you're starting out, no one wants to talk about your business all the time. But if you have a 50-50 partner, like, that energy is great when you're starting out. I really understand why that happens. I just think it's hard to scale a business with it. So some things are needed at the beginning that aren't needed later on, you know? I think that it was a really great culture shift for our company to really be able. I hired Petra on day one. Like, papers were signed an hour later, I'm on the phone with Andy Bailey. Like, this is what our company needs. We need accountability. We need a culture shift. We need, you know, like, and I think that it's just hard to do that when there's two people, you know?
Yeah.
But I was able to say, this is what we're doing, and make the decision, spend the money, and just move on.
Yeah.
You know? It's just hard to have that when you have a 50-50 partner.
Well, it's really smart that you reached out to Petra, got coaching, and especially like Andy. He was our coach for the longest time, I think 10 years, and so it was we just learned a tremendous amount. So, but to get you through that tough time, that's
I knew that I was not good at holding people accountable, and that's what we needed. I knew my weaknesses. I hired out for it, and I'm so grateful that I did. You know, and I learned so much. We were with him for 15 months, stopped right when the world shut down with COVID, and, you know, the spigot of our money turned off. And but we still, to this day, even though we aren't partnered with them, we have daily huddle every single day. We have 4 offsites a year. And we're a virtual company. Everyone comes in town. We do that 4 times a year. I mean, we have really kept the framework of what Petra gives you. We have kept it up.
wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
But
Well-
two best place to work in Nashville awards in the last few years, which was
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Jay, you know, you're big into the data and the product that you guys are producing. Like, how do you like balance that in such a creative media organization? Like,
Well, when I first joined Style Blueprint, out of 14 or 15 employees, I was the only guy. And that is a complete recalibration of one's language.
There was one other guy there.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he didn't last long. And then I was alone again. But it's one is you have to respect the creative and the storytelling. If that's ever lost, all the data in the world doesn't help. So I came into it with that attitude. And I love a good story, and don't tell anybody, but I actually enjoy writing every once in a while. So I mean, it's a
Jay's a creative at heart.
yeah.
That's the truth.
Yes.
He comes up with our best headlines.
Yeah, I do like a good
does.
headline. So, The Real Housewives of Tennis
Oh, yeah,
was
that just
absolutely
took off.
my best
Yeah.
headline. So, I, one is respect the creativity, and then realize, I mean, I always, and I stole this from, Colonel John Boyd, it's a great book, a great biography of him. It's, people, process, tools in that order. And, I love tinkering with technology. I love the data stuff. I love doing these things. It doesn't matter if the people aren't aligned with it, and it doesn't matter if the process is not repeatable. The tool is absolutely useless. So really focusing in on people first, and then we'll figure out. And listen, it's a crazy, wild environment right now for small business trying to figure out how to string all this stuff together. The platforms are changing all the time. AI put everything in hyperdrive for the last 2 years. Everything switches around. You got to rewire stuff all the time, and it breaks. if people don't understand why they're doing it, if they don't understand what the end goal of the process is, the tools don't matter. So I've really looked at it really from inverted the pyramid and looked at it entirely differently in any other way that I've looked at it in my career, and it's been great.
Yeah, well, you guys have mentioned a few times about like, a people-first approach, storytelling. Is there anything else around like editorial, like integrity that maybe you guys like lean into as you produce all this content?
Yeah. Well, I will say that I didn't realize how other publications do this, because I don't come from a publication background. But everything that's sponsored for us says sponsored. I mean, so to start with, that's the way it should happen. That's actually the way that we do it. I didn't realize how often that doesn't happen. So our editorial integrity, we do a reader feedback, every year, and ask them a bunch of questions, and we'll always go, well, Faces of Nashville, Faces of Birmingham. It's a woman interview every Monday. Well, I hate that those faces are paid for. And I'm like, they're not. That's why it doesn't say sponsored on it. But the assumption, because the reader, a follower, they are so jaded with being hoodwinked for all this paid stuff, and it actually affects us in the way people will view what we're doing. I'm like, no, that wasn't paid for. If it was paid for, it would say sponsored on it. But our sponsored articles are really great, and they're about topics that you're going to be interested in. And we fundamentally believe that because we're transparent, like we should be, and it says sponsored on it, that therefore you can see that it's paid for, and then you can open your eyes and go, but I'm still interested because this topic I'm interested in, without being hung up on, this feels sponsored, but it doesn't say sponsored. And that's happening all over social media.
Oh yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh. I think that is super frustrating. Again, just trying to be just a honest, integrity-backed company. When I see all this stuff happen all over social media, and it's so obvious, especially like with the destinations, and they don't say hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored, paid sponsor, and what it does is that makes us have to work harder because they're not playing by the rules, you know?
Yeah.
We do something that very few other publications do, and I don't think anybody our size does. The rampant inflation of audience statistics was so bad. And I mean, we're both data people at heart. I mean, I'm a creative at heart. She's really a data person at heart. So
I will say that's probably true. Yeah.
And I've never really thought about it that way.
That's funny.
It's just like our little justice, like us against the world kind of thing. I mean, there are publications that, I'll just say it, they just lie about what their audience reach is. And it just drove us so crazy. There's a group, used to be called the Circulation Board. It's now called the Alliance for Audited Media. And they were the group, they're a nonprofit that measures circulation for, it started with newspapers and magazines. And they've now expanded that. And they're trying to kind of find their way in this new media world. And so we have a monthly audit of our web traffic, of our newsletter distribution, and our social followers. And it's available on a website, published.
Wow.
To where anybody can go to it. And I'm very proud of that we did that. And it's not cheap to do every year.
No, it's not.
But I don't know if it's won us a single client. But we can send it out. And it goes in every RFP response of like, if you don't believe this little publication in Nashville does what it says it does, here is a national group that has verified all of our numbers. And the other thing I'm proud of is...
Because what's in there is like the New York Times. There's big ones in there, and then we pay for it too.
Yeah, and they don't publish their web statistics. Which is a little...
It's funny, because all the print magazines, everything print, publishes their print stuff, but they won't publish any of their digital stuff.
Yeah.
And then we were early on with an AI policy that we published, put it on the website. It's available, it's indexed, and to be stolen by all the AI companies, but it's there to where, like, this is what we believe in AI. And it's like, we believe that content producers should be paid. That is not yet happening. And in the meantime, we're going to use it, but it will never write a story. And we put it out there front and center for everybody to look at.
Because these people that are using AI to research and write a story, that's just, it's creating bad information. I think I was reading about Brentwood, Tennessee being a gated community the other day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What, just staying on the AI topic, like what are you all doing around, like, how does the newsletter play into, like, generative engine optimization? You're hearing that more and more often now. It's people are searching for different things through AI. What have you seen any or tracked any, like the statistics?
I love it when our, like, those top lists that I told you about, like when we'll put in something, we'll see us cited over and over and over again for those. That's awesome, right?
Well, it is, and then at the same time, it's like there wasn't a single click coming to our website for that, and
so we have to tell the story better. We have to say, when you partner with us, one of the benefits is you're going to show up. We can't promise that you're going to show up over here, but we can say, but we know that we are used as a source for this.
And the tools are beginning to measure it. I still believe that generative engine optimization is really search engine optimization with a new letter, and that really great content is going to be found by engines that find really great content. And I think we're in a good position for that, particularly locally, because the AI engines don't scale down local.
They're getting better though. They're getting better. Yeah.
And I just I do believe that there's going to be a breaking point that with AI that some of this paper crawl or something, the things that Cloudflare and some other companies are working on, there's going to, kind of like with Napster and streaming audio, there's going to end up being some kind of new paradigm to where we'll get a few pennies for this. But at some point, that will at least be an acknowledgement that the original content being created is of value. That's going to happen eventually. We're not there yet. So everybody is trying to figure out, well, the Google, what's really fascinating is we looked at our Google statistics for the last few weeks, and all of a sudden our number of search impressions for the keywords on our site just collapsed. Well, it turns out those were all fake anyway, because those were just the companies doing search engine optimization, searching for where we ranked on keywords, and Google shut them off. So it's
our clicks to our website from organic search have gone up, but this but on that graph where we're,
and
so
we've been
it's
impacted
funny.
Just like every other publication, and any publication that tells you they haven't been impacted is not telling you the truth. But we also have a strong email and a strong social presence. So the data aspects of this and where AI fits into it, no one knows. No one knows where it fits for publications right now. But it is a wonderful tool for process optimization and coding and everything to go along with it. And if you're not using it, you're crazy. But it writes a really bad story, or particularly it researches a really bad story right now. It still takes humans.
Yeah, I would think your content is significant in the engines, just because of it being trusted, high quality. Like, I would think it feeds in heavily for all the businesses that work with you all.
One of the, I think Ahrefs, 800 or 900 citable references. It was a lot more than I thought it would be. In the and the tools are just now beginning to measure all this stuff, and nobody knows what's going on, and everybody's making it up as they go. We're just going to write great content and distribute it as best we possibly can. Then we'll figure out what happens later.
Yeah. Well, you both have started here, and you've been involved in the entrepreneurial community, the creative community of Nashville for a long time as you built the business. Like, what have you seen be the biggest changes or improvements that have happened over the time that you guys have been in business?
In Nashville?
Yeah, just in the Nashville. I know you're broader than Nashville, but just being based here.
I will say that being based in Nashville actually helps us, where 15 years ago it did not help us. So that just Nashville being Nashville now, I think that a lot of people who've lived here for a long time like to bitch about Nashville right now. But I will say that business-wise, it's, a lot more people want to reach people in Nashville, but they also take you more seriously in the fact that you are based in Nashville. So that part, just as far as having a larger footprint, the Nashville's reputation helps us for sure.
Well, what you're doing here by trying to put together agency owners and getting people, like having a publication sit down with an agency, we never saw that before. Like, and also, the publication landscape has changed. I mean, look back 15 years. I mean, how many are gone or completely different than they were when this whole thing started? And what social has done really to content and information distribution across the board. I mean, it's not really a Nashville story, but it really is. There's more content creators talking to each other in a collaborative way now than certainly, in any part of, I haven't been in this community that long, but I watched it through her eyes. I mean, it's not even the same world it was 10 or 15 years ago.
Well, you've, and I appreciate the shout out to us. I mean, it is, we're trying to break down like those, those walls of competition and go, God, there's just so much business out there. If we all
it's not a zero-sum game.
Collaborated and shared and helped each other, which is, I know you're both very big on that, and the collaboration. Maybe if you could just share like some ways that you've collaborated with other agencies in a positive way over the years, maybe them with you with them. Who've been some of your better collaboration partners, I guess, characteristic-wise? Maybe not company-wise, but...
Company. Well, I will say that a few years ago, we did this whole, like, what do we call it, where we, we met with all these, particularly PR agencies.
Meet to Learns.
Meet to Learns. Oh, is that, we didn't have a fancier name than that?
No, we just
a Meet to Learn. We were just Meet to Learn. And it was really just, hey,
no agenda.
Tell us, like, what are you after out there? Like, what is your favorite story? What's your favorite client? And then they got to learn about us and how we could collaborate together and, things that maybe frustrate us. Like if you're a PR company and you send an email to every single person on our team about a story and then you expect a response from every single person on our team, that's hard on our team. And we get 800 pitches a week. Like, please don't do that. Could you please send it to like just CC everybody? Hey, Style Blueprint team, That's hard on a CRM system, though. But I'm just saying that, those are things that some of them heard that and that they reach out to us differently so that one person can say, hey, I can't be there, so-and-so is going to be there, so that we can talk instead of just the continual, those little things. But we learned a lot, and we have been able to, because of what we learned there, we work with clients that need PR. And so we're able to say, this is the one for you. This is the one for you. And kind of pre-vet and cherry pick, like these are the two I'd reach out to. And a lot of it stems from, one, the way that they treat us and the care that they take when they pitch us a story. So if we're going to take one of our clients and say, you should work with them, I want to make sure that they're pitching them well. So we get to see that, right there. But also learning through that where they wanted to go so that we're sending them the ideal client to help them grow. So that's not really answering your question, but it shows like how intentional we have been with this.
For listeners that don't know us, the vast majority of what Style Blueprint produces is not paid content. It's
like 20%.
Yeah. It is original. If it's a great story, pitch us. Yeah. We want it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If it is a great story to you, but happens to really be just around the business that has employed you, and it really is a piece of sponsored content that is not broadly applicable to all readers, we're going to tell you that should be sponsored content. And chances are they're not finding many takers elsewhere either. So.
Yeah. Or I think that when someone expects, because there's a new restaurant in town and they offer us a free meal, that therefore we're going to, do 10 different Instagram posts and stories and write 3 articles and do an interview with their chef. And like that, I tell my team that free meal that you took is not paying for anything here. Like, we need to keep you employed. Like, you can only do so much. Like, we have to. And then it looks weird to our audience because then they think that we're getting paid, right? And I'm like, we're not, and we got a lot of bills.
Yeah.
So there's only so much we can do before it does have to be a paid partnership.
You know, Liza, before the pandemic, I remember coming over to an office that you had, and
Yeah.
I know now you're saying, that everybody's remote, fully remote. How, did that happen during the pandemic?
It did.
And then how do you, continue to have that creative culture that you've always had?
It's, positives and negatives, right? For sure. So positives being that, well, let's start with the negatives, actually. So negative, I will not hire out of college anymore. So those first 3 years where you could get someone in that was a little greener, but you had that energy and you could kind of help form them. I don't think it's fair for that person to work in a virtual company. So we don't hire. And you got them for less money, there were some benefits, but we don't do that anymore. So that would be a negative. Negative is just the water cooler conversations, that type of stuff, which I think are so important. We don't have those anymore. The good things, we had a team that had been together for a while, and I don't lose a lot of people that work for Style Blueprint. And so we know each other. The way that we collaborate with our daily huddles, with GChat, which is like Slack, but Google's version, we are very active on that. And we do the Google Meet calls throughout the day for any kind of meeting. We're constantly ringing up someone, and we use those tools well. We are not a business that's we'll have a meeting and everyone cameras off. We are cameras on, cameras on. We get together 4 times a year. And when we get together 4 times a year, we start at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday and we end at noon on a Thursday. So we are sharing 2 dinners, 2 lunches, and that type of breaking bread together and doing that 4 times a year, it means that you do get to know each other well. And we do try to have separate little offsites as well, like editorial team, sales team. So, and I travel to other markets. So, we have a salesperson in Memphis, one in Birmingham. I will go down there regularly so that they don't feel like islands on their own.
Yeah.
What else do we do?
We
do our Blueprint buddies.
Yeah,
and,
we do. We do a cute thing once a month where everybody gets on Zoom or Google Meet or whatever.
It's intentional, though.
Yeah.
It's intentional culture.
It's an intentional culture.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's great. Again, the greatest business tool I've ever seen. And it is the only thing I would say if I could go back in time, because I don't believe you can go back in time. But the daily huddle is just so utterly amazing. It is very hard to get cross purposes with people when you have to look them in the eye and tell them what you're going to do, what you did, and what your highest priority is. It is such an incredible organizational management tool. Yeah. And it's never missed. And if you miss it, you got to type in your notes of why you missed it and what you're going to do.
And I love to celebrate people. We celebrate people on Style Blueprint. We celebrate companies, but we celebrate our team, And I just think that we go out of we do a quarterly book, but I don't like a book that's just about business. I want a book that's going to overlap with their personal life. So if you're reading, Atomic Habits, well, yes, of course that helps with business, but that helps with life, And so we try to get those books that, and it's great, the feedback that we'll get. Someone will just say, that book that we read, I'm doing this. We do Arbinger, and that has helped so many people on our team. They'll say, I can talk to my spouse better. I can talk to my ex, better. All these things because of what I've learned working for Style Blueprint. And that, to me, is the biggest win. That's the thing to die on, knowing that you've been able to affect people. It's so overwhelming in this world, how many people, how to give back. But if you give back to your team, they're right in front of you.
Very important message. Yeah, it's awesome. You all do that. I know, with the planning and taking your team away every quarter, I'm sure you're looking more long-term out. Where do you see, Style Blueprint, Blueprint Inc. over the next, maybe 3 years? What are some of the bigger things on your roadmap?
On our roadmap right now is actually to start working with we have had employees in our other markets, and that has been difficult to have. We want people with ownership mentality, so we are changing our entire business model to put owners in markets. And so we are we've announced that to our whole team, and we are just now starting to search for people. We have a book of business in Birmingham, a book of business in Memphis. That's where we're starting. Really hard to do this with Nashville. We need all the money from Nashville to help fund our company, but we're looking to expand in that way. So that'll be a huge change for us. We'll be supporting owners and markets.
And
but that is where I want, so my vision, and I want to put something huge out there. I don't know that I'll get there, but Jay and I both really believe in putting the impossible goal out there and then seeing where we can get to. And it's standing on a stage in front of 100 women 5 years from now that all have a style blueprint in their market, and knowing that their success means that local businesses in their markets are succeeding, and what that means to have them in that room. And that is the moment that we are working for as of a month ago. This is our plan.
I love that. That is so powerful.
And it's made us look at every single process and system in the company and go, oh, well, that's not going to scale.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too hard. Oh, yeah, I've got that duct tape together. That's not going to work.
It's been amazing for our business.
Just from a clarifying standpoint of like, that's dumb. Why am I still doing that? Why is her, him, whatever still doing that? And, we, our reporting system, we have to report campaign results back to clients. Those have been done for years with, I'm going to go pull all the data from the 4 different systems, and I'm going to put it in Google Slides, and I'm going to make a PDF. I'm going to send the email. Well, that's dumb. Like, you can't do that.
It would take like 45 minutes to put these reports together, and they'd be wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And so we've invested in.
So what was our impossible goal, though?
Our impossible goal was 5-minute reports.
5-minute reports.
Wow.
We're now at 6.
We're at a 6-minute report.
Yeah, after 3 months.
When we said 5-minute reports, our whole team was like, yeah, right.
Yeah, not
we're
happening.
We're at a 6-minute report right now.
Yeah, and it's only getting better. So
I think we might get down to a 2-minute report.
I think we're going to, it is, and that is where the new tools that are available right now, and where AI and things can come in and really play a huge role in our business. But it all boils back up to people and process and go, yeah, that's stupid. That's not going to work. If that vision of 100 people as owners in markets, and think about the chaos that will entail of where do they log in, where do they put their content, how is the accounting going to work, how are they going to do reports, what's the follow-up going to look like? All of that breaks with anything you are doing that is duct taped together.
Yeah.
And we have the added complication. Media is a 2-party marketplace. You have readers and you have advertisers. They both have to succeed for media to succeed, but they are in conflict with each other many times. So it's a hard business to be in. And we've complicated it further by putting multiple markets, which we've already done.
Yeah.
So when COVID hit and it was like, you got to pivot, I'm like, that's all we do is pivot. Like, we can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been like fascinating. I've loved to have gotten to know you all, your business a lot better. And I hope there's a lot of agency owners out there that take notes on this one and even reach out, because I do think
let's do a meet to learn.
Is so powerful. Yeah, meet to learn.
Yeah.
Is there
meet to
anything
learn.
as we start to wrap up? Is there anything maybe that I didn't ask you that you think might be helpful to the audience?
I will say that with agencies, we had one overzealous salesperson about 5 years ago who tried to upsell a client that an agency had sent on digital services. And of course, that agency was already supplying those digital services. Salesperson learned very quickly not to do that. And we learned very quickly to make sure that they knew not to do that. We like to work with people. We don't like to step on toes.
Yeah.
We're very respectful of the walls when someone sends a client our way. And we'd like to send clients to other people too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very important with referral partners, that you do not step on their toes.
Yeah.
Channel conflict is real,
Yeah.
and we don't like it. There's one thing for agency owners that are out there that I would beg and plead for. If we were invited to an RFP,
Oh, this is a good one.
and we do, like anyone who's invited to an RFP, whether it doesn't matter. It's hard to describe how much work goes into the response for that RFP. even though we know it probably wasn't written for us, we're probably not going to win it, but we still give it our all.
Yeah, and I'm putting them together.
Yeah,
You know,
it should.
and I get all into it.
Speaking of things that don't scale, we'll have that conversation later. Please respond at the end of the RFP and go, hey, I'm sorry, you weren't selected for the next round or as our partner. Here's feedback that I have for you on the RFP that we put together, that you've put together for us. Like good, bad, whatever it may be, we'll charge through a wall for you if you'll do that for us. First of all, it's great feedback. Second of all, I would say out of the hundreds of RFPs that I've seen us respond to in the last 5 years, no one has done that.
No, one.
One.
We've had one gave a really thorough, this was awesome. Y'all spent so much time on this. This is why you weren't chosen, but this is why if we have extra money, we do want to reach out to you. I mean, it was really thoughtful. We typically are like, and then they'll publish, we'll find something online who they're, I guess we didn't get that. We don't even get an automated reply.
Yeah,
well,
and it is a loyalty building opportunity.
And some of them you have to pay for.
We call it a request for punishment. And so we very rarely ever participate, and it's because we've done it before, and we've been told that ours was by far the best, and that the marketing team wanted to go with us, but there was somebody that had a relationship within the company that was already pre-chosen.
That's right.
After you put in all the time and
That's
energy.
correct.
So it is oof.
It's so hard. The reason that we do them, and now the only RFPs that we respond to are destination.
They're legally obligated to.
They're legally obligated.
They still pick their favorites.
They do, but we know that the way that they are chosen, typically the agency is, funneling through stuff, but a lot of times we do make it a few rounds in, and then that destination gets to see what we're capable of, and our name is in front of them, and then we're at a governor's conference on tourism. Sometimes we'll get the $10,000 this or the 15, which we love those contracts because we'll do well, and if we can just keep getting more and more of those, they add up. So for us, it's a way for people to get to know us as well.
Well, Liza, Jay, I know we could talk for another hour easily, just based on the business and the climate and everything you guys are doing. But I just want to say thank you for being a part of the Spark, and I want to say thank you for everything you're doing for the entrepreneurial community, the business community, with helping small businesses all along the way. And I hope more agency owners tune into this and they join the cause of helping the small business owners and bring in your services to help support that. So thanks again for being a part of the Spark. Really appreciate it.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Spark from Creative Assembly. Thanks for spending time with us and exploring the minds shaping Nashville's creative future. If you're walking away more inspired, connected, or energized, that's exactly the point. A big thank you to our sponsor, Snapshot, and the incredible team behind the scenes who make this show possible. Your support fuels every conversation and keeps collaboration alive. So if you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, stay creative, stay curious, and keep that spark.